Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I'm back with a My 2 Cent video for this week, for the week of June 20th to the 26th, 2025, where I take a look at a couple stories that caught my attention and give you my thoughts and my opinion. And for this week, it will be 3 stories, though. There were just only these 3 that I think stood out for me, though. But anyway, the 3 that point out are excuse me, we have June 2025 Circana numbers that are out, which certainly will give us an idea of where the Switch 2 landed in terms of its launch and everything, and how the games did and all. A comment made by Sucker Punch and regarding the future of the infamous franchise that Sucker Punch has worked on, but currently they're working on their upcoming Ghost of Yokai game. And a report that came out regarding Nintendo employees, in terms of employees turnover, in terms of how long employees stay at Nintendo and everything. If you're interested in where I got the source of these information, links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this either on YouTube or Patreon. And of course, timestamps will also be in the description of this video as well. But before we get started, I like to do what I like to call the quick My 2 Cent, stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details and all. The first one has a report that has come out that Virtuos, which is known to do ports of several games out there, particularly they've done a lot of ports for the Nintendo Switch. It's going to be curious to see what they do for the Switch 2. And of course, recently they did the port of the remaster and remake of Elder Scrolls Oblivion. Unfortunately had to lay off 207 employees, though. While this is certainly I will say sounds like it's much a smaller number than what we've seen before in the past with other video games companies laying off lots and lots of employees. It still adds to the situation of how the industry is going through a tough time, how a lot of people are being laid off, and of course it also brings up the whole blaming upper management and everything, which is something we've heard a lot before. So very unfortunate that these employees had to be laid off and everything like that. We also learned that supposedly a person posted on LinkedIn a 3D character model mentioned working on a Nintendo, looking on sort of a sequel exclusive to the Switch 2, sort of a SRPG, or some might call a strategy RPG. Now, no word on what this game may or may not be. To be exact, some have speculated it could be a Fire Emblem game. There has been rumors about possibly a remake of one of the Fire Emblem games to possibly a brand new one, to be exact. Whether that truly happens or not, that remains to be seen at this time, with rumors about possibly the a Nintendo Direct next week, though. It's certainly not out of the realm of possibility we could see that game there, but time will ultimately tell if that happens, though. But it'll be very interesting to see if this so-called RPG or strategy RPG does see the light of day on the Switch 2. We also learned that the state of play, or particularly the Ghost of Yokai state of play, has been supposedly watched more than the Sony Summer Showcase, which is certainly interesting indeed. And I'm very curious to see if Sony's going to be keeping an eye on this one and see if they decide to see why the Ghost of Yokai one worked, and see if they could do that going forward in the foreseeable future. It will be very interesting to see, though. But the fact that it got has been watched more than Sony's Summer Showcase does seem to indicate that the audience is very interested in the upcoming Ghost of Yokai game from Sucker Punch. We also learned that the folks at Machine Gun Games, or the folks who did the Indiana Jones and the Great Circle, has confirmed that multiple games is in development, though, which is certainly nice, though. I do enjoy the games Machine Gun Games has done. No word of what those games may be. We know that they're doing a DLC for Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Nothing's been confirmed yet, but there has been some claims that another Wolfenstein game is in the works, so that is a possibility. We'll have to wait and see how this turns out and all, but very encouraging indeed that Machine Gun Games is working on multiple games that they are developing. We also learned that No Rest for the Wicked, the upcoming game from the same developer of Ori and the Blind Forest, could skip the Xbox for the time being due to current market conditions, although supposedly an update has come out that the developers have sort of come out basically clarifying certainly positions and everything like that. Now, what those market conditions might be remains to be seen. It could be maybe there's some issues bringing it to the Xbox system itself, or the current situation Microsoft is in with the Xbox Series X and S. So it is that possibility, although we have heard that they are looking into bringing this game to the Switch 2 and all, which would be nice if that is the case. But for now, it seems, at least according to what the developers are saying for No Rest for the Wicked, it could skip. There is a good chance we could see it skip the Xbox right now, although it's possible it could come out maybe at some point down the road. And last but not least, we do have some information about Borderlands 4, at least the Switch 2 version. We do believe it is supposedly been confirmed that it will be out in October, so not on the same date as the Xbox One, the Xbox Series X and S, and the PS5 version. However, it has now been, at least according to what Gearbox is saying, is that the game will mostly run at 30 frames per second, to be exact, and they wanted to fit everything in there, which to me seems to indicate that basically odds are Borderlands 4 for the Switch 2 will more than likely be a game keycard and all, which I know that has been controversial depending on who you're asking. There are some who do not like the game keycard situation at all. So it's certainly this one. I think a lot of Switch 2 owners are going to have to weigh in whether it's worth getting Borderlands 4 on the Switch 2 or outright skip it altogether. So it'll be interesting to see once Borderlands 4 comes out on the Switch 2, I believe supposedly in October, and see how well that game does and whether there's an audience for that or not. And in the movie and TV show part of the Quick My 2 Cents, we are learning basically that, or at least the Direct put out an interesting article about the message seen in Jor-El, who in the James Gunn Superman movie, about the possibility of a massive DC villain in it. They do bench up an interesting villain, one I didn't even hear about, or never heard of before, but could be an ideal choice for the next villain if they do a sequel to the Superman movie, which I believe they will. I mean, other possibilities could be, maybe Brainiac could be in it, or, they could try to do General Zod, although he was the villain in Man of Steel. But maybe James Gunn could see how they could do a General Zod in that version as well. So time will ultimately tell. Obviously, James Gunn has a lot plate on his head, a lot plate right now, but it's more than likely we'll see a sequel to the James Gunn Superman movie. Hopefully that does happen at all. We also learned that supposedly there have been reports, at least from the Hollywood Reporter and others, that the Superman movie doesn't seem to be doing nearly as well overseas as some may have hoped for. The movie's still doing well in the box office, but not to the scale that obviously WB would have liked it to be, though. There have been some speculations on this, and even supposedly James Gunn said, although he recently may have walked back this, was comments made about America isn't being popular right now due to Donald Trump and everything, which I could see that as one possible factor to why the movie is not doing well overseas. Another possibility is Jurassic World Rebirth, which I was kind of mixed on, but nevertheless, that one continues to do well overseas indeed, so there is that possibility. So there could be multiple factors in terms of why the Superman movie maybe not be doing as well as overseas as they had hoped for. But so far, despite that, which we'll be getting into the next part of the story though, that hasn't stopped the movie from becoming a failure. Nevertheless, it reported this week that supposedly Superman has soared second week higher with a 58+ million. So indeed, the film is doing very well for Warner Brothers. So obviously, they must be pretty happy where things are standing right now for that film. obviously, like we've heard before, it's a great start to the DCU. So I'm sure James Gunn, DC Studios, and Warner Brothers must be pretty happy where things are standing right now. So despite some questions about why it's not doing well overseas, obviously it's doing well nevertheless. Also, it overtook the Smurfs movies, which I'm not really surprised right there. Meanwhile, the Fantastic Four box office opening, the projections has come out for that, and most analysts are basically saying that they expect the movie to do, in terms of global box office opening, they're expected to be big around 190 million to 210 million, which it'll be interesting to see how it does over the weekend. But as of right now, as reported, it seems that right now it seems to be sitting at 125 million in terms of its opening, which is certainly not bad. And obviously, I do think Marvel needed that, though. Their movies have been sort of, since the multiverse, has been sort of in a tough spot lately. There have been some successes, Deadpool and Wolverine, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, but there have been some that have been done as well, like Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania, The Marvels, even Captain America Brave New World and Thunderbolt, which I enjoyed, indeed. Didn't do as well at the box office as Disney and Marvel had hoped for and all. So obviously a good start, at least for basically Fantastic Four first step. Whether they can maintain that or not remains to be seen, but I'm hoping to see that movie soon and everything. So not bad box office production and not bad opening so far. Whether they can maintain that or not, like I said, remains to be seen. And last but not least, and unfortunately some sad news indeed, is that there were certainly a lot of deaths this week for a lot of celebrities, but one that I thought that was kind of big was unfortunately the passing of rock legend Ozzy Osbourne, who unfortunately passed away following what is basically his last concert that he did, though. Now, I believe he was the lead singer of Black Sabbath. I will admit I'm not a heavy metal fan or anything like that, but I've heard of the name Ozzy Osbourne and Ozfest. I remember, he did the Osbourne reality TV show with his family. I do know that basically he was in the video game Brutal Legend, which is I think an action game that draws inspiration from a lot of, the heavy metal theme and everything like that. And he was also in the World of Warcraft commercial, though. But I also remember him teaming up with another one and doing a song based off of Peter Gabriel's Shock the Monkey, which is like, wow, I did not expect to hear something like that. So I will admit I'm not a heavy metal fan, but there's no denying the legacy the late Ozzy Osbourne has left behind, and especially in terms of the music industry, though. And my heart goes out to his family, his friends, and of course to all the fans out there who grew up with Ozzy Osbourne and, I believe, if I'm saying the band name correctly, the Black Sabbath band, indeed and all. Okay, with the Quick My Two Cent now done, along with the movie and TV show part of the Quick My Two Cent, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with supposedly a report that came out in terms of the employees at Nintendo. And interestingly enough, this report that's came out seemed to indicate something that you don't often see in the industry these days, though, where you hear a lot of reports ranging from layoffs to some, leaving the company for good to try to do other things and everything. So we've heard that story back and forth many times in the game industry. But with Nintendo, it does seem to indicate that, at least according to this latest employees report, a lot of employees tend to stay at Nintendo much longer than what you would hear from like other companies and everything like that. I mean, there are several. One I could think of is, of course, Shigeru Miyamoto, the creator of the Mario and the Zelda and Donkey Kong series, and everything. I mean, he's been with Nintendo for, I would say, a very, very long time and all. But anyway, in an article from GameIndustry.biz, it reads that, quote, Newly disclosed employee information from Nintendo has revealed that the people tend to work for the company for a very long time indeed. As spotted by Go Nintendo, the employee record, which were updated in June, are for the period of April 2024 to March 2025, show that people stay at Nintendo Japan for an average of 14.4 years. The average term of service for Nintendo of America employees, meanwhile, is 10 years. For Nintendo of Europe, the figure is slightly higher at 11.1 years. And for Nintendo Australia, it's 8.5 years. Across the board, men tend to stay for slightly longer than women. The employee turnover rate for Japan is minuscule, if I'm saying it correctly, 1.9 rising to 5.7. For America, it's 6%. For Europe, for America, it should be 6%. For Europe, for America, it's 5%. 1.9 for Japan, 5.7 for America, 6% for Europe, and 16.7% for Australia. The stats also reveal that Nintendo has a total of 5,630 full-time employees worldwide, which is a surprising teeny number considering how much profit the firm makes. Nintendo reports a gross profit of $4.9 billion for the year ending March 31st, 2025, which is the equivalent of $870,337 per employee. For comparison, according to its results for the same year, Sony has 12,100 employees in its game and network service division, down slightly from the 12,700 year before. The division is reported at an operating income of $2.8 billion for the year, equivalent to $231,404 per employee. They showed off like how many full-time employees for men and women. For North America, they have 880 for men and 566 for women. These are full-time employees. Nintendo Japan has 2,270 men, 692 women working there. Over on the Europe branch, they have 655 men and 468 for women. And in the Nintendo Australia branch, they have 50 men working there full-time and 49 females working there at full-times. In terms of temporary employees, they have, in Japan, they have 51 men and 34 women. In North America, Nintendo America, they have 1 man and 5 women. In Europe, they have 31 men and 38 women. And finally, in Australia, they have 4 men and 8 women in Nintendo of Australia. So I will say that is very impressive indeed, to see the fact that you don't see a high turnover or people leaving Nintendo as much as you would see for other companies. This one's kind of interesting indeed, because there were a couple, I think it was like a year or two ago, there was a report coming out about some of the working conditions at Nintendo, how some employees are not being treated as well, to be exact. There was also the information how one employee got fired due to supposedly Nintendo's claim that they leaked out information. They denied that, and eventually that got or the claim was that they were fired because they asked a question in regards of unionization and everything like that. Eventually they settled that out of court and all. So interesting indeed that this basically is to see how some of the employees continue to work there. You don't see a high turnout rate at all. Now, I will admit this doesn't change my view in terms of whether the employees should unionize or not. I believe that my position on that is that's up to the employees. They should make that decision whether they choose to unionize or not, though, so they should ultimately make that call. But either case, assuming what Nintendo is putting out is correct, it does seem to indicate that the employees seem to be that, at least how I'm reading it, that they seem to be happy working at Nintendo and everything like that, and they seem to be providing good benefits and everything like that. So overall, very interesting report. At least, again, this is coming from Nintendo itself, so you take it however you want to take it and everything like that. And assuming what they are pointing out is true, It's certainly better than what we've heard across the industry before, in terms of how we're hearing all these layoffs, or how some of these higher ups are laying off these people to either A, put more money in their pockets, or go all in on the whole AI situation and everything. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2, and this one has to do with basically Sucker Punch responding to questions regarding the future of, the infamous franchise that they have worked on during the PS3 and including one during the PS4 era. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, we are back with part 2 of my 2 cent video, and for this one we're going to be talking about Sucker Punch, and including them talking about the infamous games that they have worked on during the PS3 and one on the PS4 and all. Now, for a lot of Sony fans, Sucker Punch should be a name that sounds very similar and all. I believe they first started making an appearance during the N64 with a game I think called Rocket on Wheels, if I'm saying the name correctly. I apologize if I'm not. But they really started to gain attention when they basically released the Sly Cooper games for the PS2 and all. And eventually, when they got to the PS3, we got the Infamous series, Infamous 1 and Infamous 2. Excuse me, which the first one came out at an interesting time when that came out and was competing somewhat against Prototype that came out back in the day and all. And it was sort of a interesting superhero type of a game where you play as Cole, who has these sort of interesting electric powers, and you could choose to be either good or bad depending on some of the choices and actions that you take and all. This would lead to a sequel with Infamous 2, and then eventually Infamous Second Son, which would be out would be around as like a launch title for the PS4 when that come out. But since then, they have moved on with, Ghost of Tsushima, which has done very well and everything like that. And of course, the upcoming Ghost of Yokai is also there as well. But there has been some questions of whether or not the Infamous series will ever make a comeback or not. And there were some comments that were made that indicated that there were no plans at this time to basically do one. Well, now, during an interview with Game Informer, the question was brought up about the Infamous game, and it seems to indicate that the series may not be dead, but it clearly indicates that Sucker Punch has sort of a policy when it comes to sort of making games and all. From an article from GameSpot, it points out a comment about, basically points out that one of the directors of all 3 games, Nate Fox, would love to revisit that world again, but can't anytime soon because Sucker Punch is busy with Ghost of Yotai, the upcoming sequel to Ghost of Tsushima. I would love to work on more Infamous, Fox told Game Informer. I would love to see a trilogy re-release, but Sucker Punch is one game at a time shop. And right now, we are very focused on finishing Ghost of Yotai. So, obviously, to me, based on that statement, it doesn't sound like the series is completely dead or anything like that, but it seems all eyes are on Ghost of Yotai at this time, which is certainly a game I am looking forward to picking up indeed. But still, nevertheless, it does give, at least from my view, it kind of gives some encouraging news saying that the Infamous series may not be dead at all. And I wouldn't mind seeing a re-release or a remaster of the first and second one, which unfortunately has been confined to the PS3 and everything, and that would be really nice to bring those 2 games over to the PS5 to play. Indeed, I do think they deserve like another shot at these. Whether it's a port house handling it or Sucker Punch, that certainly would be good. Indeed. And assuming Ghost of Yotai is done and everything, following that game's release, I would like to see Sucker Punch maybe take another shot at another Infamous game. Maybe a brand new chapter, indeed, maybe a new character or anything. It will be very interesting if they do that. Same thing with Insomniac Games. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy Ratchet & Clank. I think they've done a good job with the Spider-Man games, but I would love for them to either do a brand new Resistance game, or I would like to see all 3 Resistance games ported over to the PS5 indeed. So that would be great if that ever happens and all. But it does sound like the way this is coming off is that the series isn't exactly dead or anything like that. So hopefully we'll see what happens after Ghost of Yotai is released. Maybe we'll see here another Infamous game down the road. Maybe not. Time will ultimately tell and all. But overall, like I said, it doesn't sound like the series is dead, but clearly Sucker Punch is one game at a time studio. So who knows? Maybe once Ghost of Yotai is completed, maybe Infamous could be the next game that Sucker Punch might be working on. But like I said, time will ultimately tell indeed. Okay, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our third and final part, and this has to do with June 2025 Circana numbers. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our third and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, I wanted to take a look at the June 2025 Circana report. Now, this was one, as a Nintendo fan, one I wanted to keep an eye on, take a look, because the thing was to give an idea of where the Nintendo Switch 2 was after its launch in June and all. And many of us were wondering how well was the system doing, how well was going and everything like that. We know Nintendo put out a report saying about how their system has done well and everything. Of course, that's coming from Nintendo's mouth. But the Circana report was one that was going to give us a pretty good idea, especially when you take into account the situation that led up to the launch, such as they had to delay the pre-orders due to the situation surrounding tariffs and all. And then, of course, we have the economic uncertainty, and that's still kind of is somewhat of a factor, indeed. But based on what the numbers are coming out with Circana, it seems despite all that, the Switch 2 is definitely off to a very good start, indeed. Now, whether or not Nintendo can maintain that momentum remains to be seen, but for now, at least according to June 2025's Circana report, it's doing very well indeed. Anyway, this is from Substack, and this is from Game Developer, Game Dev Report. Basically, in terms of an overview, they said, basically, in June, the total video game market volume reached $5.699 billion, up 22% year over year. Video game content sale grew 6% year over year to $4.427 billion. Console sales surged 249 year to year to 978 million, setting a historical June record. Previously, it was 608 million in June 2008. 1.6 million Nintendo Switch units were sold in June, the highest debut month in the US market history. The previous record belonged to PS4 with 1.1 million units sold in November of 2013, which certainly that is obviously pretty good, despite it right now being somewhat difficult to get a Nintendo Switch 2 at this very moment. Some have been lucky, others have not been, though. I mean, I wanted to get something over at my local Target, and they had to make it very clear they don't have any Switch 2s at this time and all. It points out that PS5 ranks second after Nintendo Switch 2 in sales for the month. It remains the year-to-date leader in total units sold across the first 6 months of 2025. Accessory sales increased 29% year to year to 293 million, marking another all-time June record. And of course, this one, 32% of all Nintendo Switch 2 buyers purchased a Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller. So obviously, despite somewhat of the increase in price for the Switch 2 Pro controller, after Nintendo had to reassess certain situations and all, it doesn't sound like the increase in price of it was able to stop people from buying the Switch 2 Pro controller. And it showed that June 2025 was the strongest June by revenue since 2019. So definitely good indeed. They also pointed out that non-mobile subscription continues to grow, reaching 562 million in June 2025, up to 32% year over year. This is all-time monthly record for the category, which obviously you could point to PlayStation Plus and Game Pass in general with, situations surrounding the cost of a lot of these video games lately, though, that could lead to more people going to these subscription services more than they were maybe before in the past and all. Anyway, moving on, in terms of the top 20 games of June 2025, they have Elden Ring Night Ring at number 1, Death Stranding 2 On the Beach at number 2, Mario Kart World at number 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at number 4, Stellar Blade at number 5. Last month it was at number 185. That's interesting indeed for that. Forza Horizon 5 at number 6, MLB The Show 25 at number 7, Minecraft at number 8, Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 9, Rune Factory Guardian of Azuma at number 10. That's interesting to see that one go over there, because I view that more as like an AA title and all, but nevertheless still impressive to see it on the list indeed. Split Fiction at number 11, EA Sports FC 25 at number 12, Elden Ring at number 13, NBA 2K25 at number 14, Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 15, Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remaster at number 16, Star Wars Battlefront 2 at number 17. Very odd to see that game get a resurgence considering the backlash that went through back in 2017. Cyberpunk 2077 at number 18. Get this, last month it was ranked 427, so to see it go up to number 18 is indeed impressive. I wouldn't be surprised if some of that had to do with the Switch 2 version, indeed. Assassin's Creed Shadow at number 19, and WWE 2K25 at number 20. So, interesting to see Mario Kart World on that list. It made it to the top 3. That's very impressive indeed. Obviously, it didn't overtake Death Stranding, but still, nevertheless, still good indeed. Rune Factory is one that kind of surprised me a little bit to see it make it onto the list, though. And Cyberpunk 2077 that makes the jump seems to indicate that there are those who also purchased the Switch 2 version, indeed. So not bad for some of the games, particularly on the for the Switch 2 side, indeed. In terms of year to date, we have basically Monster Hunter Wilds at number 1, Elder Scrolls Oblivion Remaster at number 2, Assassin's Creed Shadow at number 3, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at number 4, MLB The Show 25 at number 5, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 at number 6, WWE 2K25 at number 7, Elden Ring Nightwind at number 8, Split Fiction at number 9, NBA 2K25 at number 10, Forza Horizon 5 at number 11, Civilization at number 12, Minecraft at number 13, PGA Tour 2K25 at number 14, Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 15, Doom The Dark Ages at number 16, EA Sports FC 25 at number 17, Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 18, Madden NFL 25 at number 19, and Marvel Spider-Man 2 at number 20. Over in terms of the top 10 games on the PlayStation platform for June 2025, we have Death Stranding 2 On the Beach at number 1, Elden Ring Night Ring at number 2, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at number 3, Forza Horizon 5 at number 4, MLB The Show 25 at number 5, Grand Theft Auto 5 at number 6, Minecraft at number 7, EA Sports FC 25 at number 8, WWE 2K25 at number 9, and Assassin's Creed Shadow at number 10. They point out that Death Stranding 2 was the best-selling PlayStation title in June. According to the best-selling Xbox platform for June 2025, we have Elden Ring Nightwind at number 1, Elder Scrolls Online at number 2, NBA 2K25 at number 3, Final Fantasy 16, 16 if I'm saying the number correctly, at number 4, Minecraft at number 5, Forza Horizon 5 at number 6, Call of Duty Black Ops 6 at number 7, PGA Tour 2K25 at number 8, Red Dead Redemption 2 at number 9, and WWE 2K25 at number 10. They pointed out that the Final Fantasy time exclusivity ended and the game launched on Xbox, taking the 4th in the June chart. And of course, over at the Nintendo platform or Switch and Switch 2 side, though, it has some interesting titles making on this list, though. Especially some third-party ones that I think kind of answers some questions at the very least. Anyway, Mario Kart World at number 1, Cyberpunk 2077 at number 2, Rune Factory Guardian of Azuma at number 3, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom at number 4, The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild at number 5. My guess is because of it being, the Switch 2 edition is out there and everything. Street Fighter 6 at number 6. Mario Kart 8 at number 7. Hogwarts Legacy at number 8. I do wonder if some of that has to do with the Switch 2 version. Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster at number 9. And Minecraft at number 10. On a side note, they point out Nintendo Switch 1 and 2 saw many new releases. Mario Kart World, Cyberpunk 2077, Rune Factory Guardian of Azuma, Street Fighter 6, and Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remasters. Sales for The Legend of Zelda from the first Switch games also significantly increased, likely with the new console owners trying classic hits. So, obviously, there are a couple things that you could take away from this report, though, and that is obviously Death Stranding 2 on the beach. That's obviously got to make Kojima Production and Sony happy and indeed, though. But the big one has to do with, I think, is Nintendo with the June Circana report, and that indicates that obviously, in terms of the Switch 2 units, it's off to a very good start, though. A lot of people are buying the Switch. Certainly, a lot of people are buying the Switch 2 Pro controller, despite the somewhat increase in the price for it, though, as there was some debate over after some folks that were not pleased with Nintendo raising the price a bit due to, like I mentioned, the whole situation surrounding, the tariff situation. Indeed, but the couple thing has to do with some of the titles that did actually very well. Obviously, Mario Kart World, you can have, some are mixed on. There are some who love or hate the game, to be exact, but there's no denying that it was a good launch title, and that doing very well indeed isn't really shocking. Seeing Cyberpunk 2077 and Rune Factory Guardian of Azuma making on that list, though, is certainly interesting indeed. Rune Factory is one that kind of surprised me a little bit, mostly because of it being more of I consider more of a double A title than a triple A title, indeed. But either way, I'm glad that one did well. Plus, both of those games are basically the games with the full game in the 64 gigabyte cartridges, indeed. So that certainly is good news to see those games do well. And then finally, one that I was kind of curious to see how it would do and what this could lead to is Street Fighter 6 and Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remastered, to see those make it on the list. Now, this is kind of interesting for me, because what makes those two titles very interesting is that both of them are what would be described as Switch 2 game keycard situation. Now, I'm sure most of you are out there are fully aware of the whole controversy surrounding the game keycards. There are some people who don't like it. There are some who are in the game preservation camp who are opposed to the game keycards outright. So it was going to be interesting to see how some of these games on the game keycards has done and all. And seeing Street Fighter 6 make it on that list, and Bravely Default Fairy HD, what is it called again? Let me just double check. Oh yeah, Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD make it on there, to me seems to indicate, at least for now, that despite some of the noise on the internet, it doesn't seem to have discouraged folks who are willing to buy the Switch 2 version despite it being a game keycard. Now, whether or not that will continue down the road or not remains to be seen at this time, but there are some analysts out there who believe that despite the noise, that they only represent a minority out there, and believes that most likely there will be those who will buy it regardless of if it's being a game key card or not, which I think that could be true, to be exact though, but I still don't think the game preservation argument is going to go away anytime soon or anything like that. So to see those two games making on the list tells me that perhaps the game keycard controversy isn't as widespread as some on the internet make it sound like it is. So that's a possibility, indeed. But in either case, I will say this was a very good start for the Nintendo Switch 2. Nevertheless, though, It's going to be very interesting to see how the months down the road it's going to be, especially once we get maybe something like August. I'm very curious to see how well Donkey Kong Bonanza has done. That's going to be very interesting to see. And it will be very interesting to see how the Switch 2 does for the holiday season. That's going to be very interesting to see how well it does, especially with Black Friday coming out. And finally, there is still a little bit of an unknown factor for a Switch 2 that I still believe could technically throw a wrench in it though, right? And that is, of course, the economic uncertainty and the tariff situation though. Now, granted, it's too early to tell. We won't know that or anything like that, and it may not, and it's always a possibility, it may not have a negative impact, but you cannot deny the fact that there is also a chance it could, and it could prevent the Switch 2 from, see the sales number increase for the Switch 2 and all. So time will ultimately tell how much of an impact those two factors will have. But for now, it does seem to indicate that the Nintendo Switch 2 is definitely off to a good start indeed. So overall, this was the Circana report I was waiting for to see exactly how the Switch 2 would do. It's definitely off to a good start, indeed, as I mentioned. But time will ultimately tell if Nintendo can maintain that momentum going down the road, particularly for the holiday season. And also, it will be very interesting to see how they navigate they have to deal with the possibility of economic uncertainty and, of course, the tariff situation, indeed, and all. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about this report about the Nintendo employees staying much longer at Nintendo than what normally you would see for other employees at other companies and all? Do you think that is a good thing? Do you think that's a sign that Nintendo is treating their employees well, indeed? What are your thoughts about what Sucker Punch said in regards of the Infamous game? Or the Infamous series, to be exact. Do you buy that they work on one game at a time? Do you think they should do another Infamous game once Ghost of Yokai is completely done? Or do you think they should try maybe doing another IP or something like that? What are your thoughts about the June 2025 Circana report that came out though? Were you looking to see how well the Nintendo Switch 2 has done and everything like that? Do you think it did very well? Indeed. Were there other games that you saw that you wish that was on the list, or you were pleased to see them make it on there? Indeed. Do you think games like Bravely Default, Flying Fairy HD, and Street Fighter 6 making it onto the top 10 Switch games or top 10 games on the Nintendo platform? Do you think that is a sign to indicate that maybe the game keycard situation isn't as controversial as some on the internet are making it sound like it is? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I do. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal Me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this video on either YouTube or Patreon. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!